Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village surrounded by green fields and soft winds, there lived an old woman. Her hair was silver like moonlight, her face wrinkled with years of wisdom, and yet her eyes, they still sparkled like a calm river under the sun. She lived alone in a tiny house beside a great banyan tree. Her husband had passed away many years ago, and she had no children of her own. But if you ever passed by her home, you would always find her smiling. No matter how hard life was, she never complained. She would sit under the banyan tree, talk to villagers passing by, and share laughter that seemed to make every burden a little lighter. The people of the village adored her. Some were farmers, some carpenters, some sold fruits in the market, but all of them knew one thing. When life felt too heavy, a few words from the old woman could lift their hearts. One afternoon, a young woman named Rada came running to her, tears rolling down her cheeks. She said, "Mother, I don't know what to do. My husband went to the city to find work, but months have passed and we haven't heard from him. My children are hungry. I am scared." The old woman looked at Rada and smiled gently. "Sit down, my child," she said softly. "Tell me, what do you think will happen?" Rada wiped her tears and whispered, "I think something terrible will happen. Maybe my husband didn't find a job. Maybe he's forgotten us." The old woman shook her head slowly. "Ah, my dear," she said, "when we think of bad things, we invite sadness to live with us. But when we choose to think of good things, our hearts begin to heal, and sometimes good things follow." Rada sighed. "But how can I think good thoughts when everything around me feels broken?" The old woman smiled again and said, "Let me tell you a story. Once there was a poor man who had nothing, no food, no family, no roof above his head. One evening he sat by the river crying. An old traveler saw him and asked, 'Why are you crying, my son?' The man said, 'I have nothing left in this world.' The traveler smiled and said, 'You have the river that sings to you. You have the sun that warms you. You have the air that lets you breathe. You still have life. If you only count what you have lost, you will always be poor. But if you see what you still have, you will always have enough." The man stopped crying. He looked around, at the sky, at the trees, at the gentle river, and slowly his heart felt lighter. From that day on, his life began to change, not because his fortune changed, but because his thoughts did. The old woman looked at Rada and said softly, "You see, child, the poor man didn't find happiness through luck. He found it through gratitude. When we change our thoughts, we change our world." Rada thought for a long moment and asked, "Will thinking positive really change my life?" The old woman smiled again. "Yes, my dear. If you wake up each morning and tell yourself, 'Today will be a good day,' your heart will give you strength. You will work harder, love deeper, and wait with hope. But if you fill your day with fear, your body will grow weak before the struggle even begins." Rada nodded slowly. "I will try, mother. I'll think good thoughts. That's all I ask," the old woman said. And so Rada began. Each morning she whispered, "Today will be a good day." She worked, cared for her children, and held on to faith that her husband would return. Weeks passed. Then one morning a letter arrived. Her husband had found work in the city and was sending money home. Rada cried. But this time they were tears of joy. She ran to the old woman and said, "Mother, you were right. My husband is fine." The old woman smiled and said, "You see, when you think light, you bring light into your life. The world did not change, my dear. You did." From that day on, people from all over the village began visiting the old woman. They came with their worries, about money, about family, about life. And she would always tell them the same thing: think good thoughts and good will come. Her words spread through the village like sunlight after rain. The people worked with more hope, loved with more patience, and smiled a little more each day. And when the old woman grew too weak to leave her home, the villagers still came. Not to ask for advice, but to thank her, because she had taught them the most beautiful truth of all. Happiness does not come from a life without problems. It comes from a heart that chooses peace, even when problems remain.